Representative Andraca.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know you want people to think that this is just the thing we do. We always bring things back to base. But in the last state budget, when we brought the budget back to base, and Democrats were stubbornly fighting for an increase in per pupil funding for public schools, Republicans said no, forced the governor to get creative with his veto pen in order to get the funding that schools across the state need. So I know you're mad about that, but we're all here talking and listening about the need to fund public schools because your tax cuts are going to be meaningless when local taxpayers are voting to raise their own taxes just to fund our local schools. We have the option to not take it back to base. How about if we just fix the budget right now? We could do that, but we're not. We're playing these budget games. And so when it's all about, oh, well, this is just the thing that we do, it doesn't have to be. And our constituents don't want us to play these silly budget games. Honestly, they just want us to fund our schools. We heard from so many people asking for more money for schools, but you're probably not going to listen to Democrats on the committee anyway. So I thought I would just read a couple of emails and a couple of the things that we heard at the public hearings. We heard from Becky in Hayward, the superintendent of Osceola. Her message really resonated. She said she's not here asking for more money for schools. She's just asking for enough money for schools, because this legislature has failed. The Republican legislature has failed to provide enough money for schools, and we wouldn't be having these arguments if we would just give them enough. I hope you all check your email, because there's been a couple of really interesting items that have come through because people knew that we were going to make these drastic cuts. And so I just want to read a couple of them. In fact, one of my constituents, Amanda from Mequon, she personally attended 3 of the 4 Joint Finance Committee hearings. I have attached the pie chart showing the number one ask of 60% special education reimbursement, some sufficient. 60% is already meeting you halfway. The real number should be 90%, as voucher students receive that dollar amount. Please do not shortchange the families of Wisconsin by starving our schools of the funds they need to educate every student. Remember that special education funding affects every child, and every stakeholder loses when they have to pay more taxes via referendum. As a parent with an autistic and brilliant high schooler, to hear so many people tell you over and over again that the special education reimbursement needs to be at least 60% was moving and validating. I hope you heard them all. And Ainsley Anderson wrote, I'm only going to read part of it, but really, all of you, check your inboxes because it's brilliant. I'm a resident of District 17, represented by Senator Mark Line. How fortunate that the State Senator Mark Line, who represents me, is also the co-chair of the Joint Finance Committee. I'm a teacher in the Dodgeville School District. I have 3 children who attend Dodgeville Public Schools. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do and the education that my children receive. Each year, our district has less and less to work with. We always roll up our sleeves and do everything we can to ensure that we are helping our students grow, while also ensuring that their basic needs are met. Unfortunately, our district is in a budget crisis. We have declining enrollment. We took 2 referendums to the polls this year. Neither passed. We have stood witness to good teachers receiving non-renewal notices because our administration needed to make difficult decisions. On the state level, school districts are being told that the local taxpayers need to step up and take care of funding our schools. But local taxpayers are stretched thin. They cannot afford to see their tax bills increase. While it's disappointing that they were not able to support our operational referendum, I feel confident it's not because they want to see our schools struggle. It's because they need to do everything they can to maintain their own lives. As a teacher, it is tremendously disheartening to try to explain failed referendums and state budgets with a state budget surplus that is not projected based on previous legislative sessions to benefit schools. There are members of the Joint Finance Committee who have shown tremendous dedication to public education and have recognized the necessity of properly funding our schools. However, there are also members of the Joint Finance Committee who have done very little to demonstrate any support of public education. Our classrooms received some highway maps. Thanks for those. They're absolutely helping my students explore Wisconsin on paper. It sure would be nice if we could afford to help them explore Wisconsin in person. Unfortunately, those capital trips just aren't in the budget anymore. nor our trips to help them experience our glorious natural resources and agricultural traditions. You have the power to change that. I would say we all have the power to change that. So if you're wondering why we're upset about bringing the budget back to base and we can just fix it as we go along, it's because we've tried it over and over again and it's failed. And we're going to keep speaking up. We're going to keep talking about the need to fund our schools with enough until you finally do it.